If you watched my previous video, I was making a split cross, as I was making it, I would look at it and envision to myself, you know, I could make a hummingbird out of this with just a little bit of twist here and twist there and change here and change there. So today I'm going to try to take this 3/4 inch by roughly 3 inch block of steel, mild steel, and I'm going to try to make a hummingbird. I thought of who I was going to give this to, but then my wife said, no, you need to give the first hummingbird to me. So I guess the first hummingbird goes to my wife. So join me as I make this. I hope you enjoy. We're both going to learn something together. Okay, with the split cross, we all know how we cut these. We'll take like depending any size you want, 4 inch, 5 inch, 3 inch. But on one side, you cut it down about 3/4 of the way, a little more than 3/4, and then the flip side, you cut it like 1/3 of the way. And that's where, when you split it open, that's where you get this hole. But on a hummingbird, it's kind of the same, only different. We're going to take this in equal parts. I should use a straight edge for this, but once I start to saw it and I put lubricant on there, that white line disappears anyway. So by equal parts. So just for visionary purposes, this is kind of equal parts on both sides. And you can also set it up so that there is no hole in the center. And you just basically shorten these cuts, both ends, so that they don't meet and they don't overlap. But if you want a hole, then you need to overlap a little bit, depending on how big a hole you want. This is about 1/4 inch overlap, maybe 3/8 inch overlap. So it'll give me a roughly probably 1/2 inch hole all said and done. So let's get this cut, and then we'll fire up the forge and make this happen. Okay, looks like we're about where we want to be. Got about 3/8 inch overlap here. So let's fire up the forge and heat this puppy up. Okay, while we're waiting for the forge to get hot, I'm going to give you an idea of what I got coming up in the near future. I purchased some templates, or some people call them blanks, from actually I forget who I ordered these from. I'll look it up and I'll show it down here. But I got some different templates and some little templates, blanks for I think a lily pad, or or maybe this is a tulip. I forget which this is. I got a template here to do some acorns. I think those will be fun. I've never done one, never seen a video on it, but I think I can figure it out. And these right here will be fun. These are they look like throwing stars for these karate people, but this is actually a template, a blank for a Christmas bell, you know, jingle bells. So that'll be fun. So here in the next month or two, I'll be doing several of these. I've also got, now these are some blanks that I cut out of a lid to a 55-gallon drum. I think I got a video of that somewhere. I'll see if I can find that. But you can use these to make little flower petals and whatnot. But I've also got an actual template here for rose petals. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's total of 6 sizes in here to do a rose. And I've used those blanks that I cut out of that lid to make a couple of rose sort of things for candles. I'm going to try this actual template that I purchased and see how that works. So I think our fire is starting to get where it needs to be. So let's move on with the project at hand. That's kind of where it's starting out. I'm going to heat it up and then take it over to the anvil and flatten it out, and we'll go from there. Okay, it looks pretty even. Of course, anything that's not exactly the way we want it, we can manipulate that as we make wings and beaks and tails. So let's start off with stretching out the nose so we can make a long beak. Close. I think I'll straighten it out once I've done the wings and the tail. See this here, this part up here, if you want to get this end hot enough to manipulate, the chances of melting this end is significant. So you have to be careful at this stage when you heat this small diameter part of the item will melt very, very easy. So we're going to start working on the wings now. Tripping over hammers and tongs. Let's say that's, what do you think? I think this needs to bend down a bit. Okay. Let me adjust this camera. I think this end needs to be a tad longer and a bit more of a curve. A little skinnier at the end. I think if I flatten it out a little more on the end, that will give me my length. And then the curve, I can always put in the curve later. So I'm going to heat this in one more time, flatten this out some, hopefully that'll give me a little bit more length. Then I put a wee bit of a curve in it, and then I'll flatten out the tail. I guess not bad for a hack. Let's do the tail. Well, I don't know. It didn't turn out like all the cool guys. The cool guys, they do much better. Is that a crack I see? Well, the really cool guys can make one of these things and not have to file it. If I want to be one of the cool guys, I need to keep working at it. Let me brush this thing off and then we'll give this little project a conclusion. Okay, here we go. That's kind of what we got. I guess I'm told that I shouldn't point out all the mistakes, but you know, if you're a real blacksmith or even you want to be a blacksmith, you'll see all the mistakes here. You know, the cool kids, they would make a much finer product. These wings need to be a little bit wider down here, and there's more taper, and you see the tails just a wee bit off. But I guess, you know, for my first Hummingbird, I guess I cannot complain. I might poke some little eyes in it, but I think I'll pass. I'll just leave it as it is. Let me know in the comments what you think. If you got any suggestions? Actually, I take constructive criticism very well. Unless, of course, if it comes from a family member, a friend, co-worker, or associate, or a stranger. So, hope you enjoyed. If you get a chance, run out to your shop and make something. If you don't have a shop, go make a shop. Men should make things.